And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the major fence event that is leading up to the wipe in August. Possibly even discuss some potential wipe theories. And we'll close out with a few indie games and maybe a little Tarkov drama, everyone's favorite. So, the fence event, did I get that right? I'm going to be honest, everyone, listeners. I have only seen this through editing, and it was very difficult to decipher what was going on in between trying to splice B-roll to match up with the appropriate quest. So there's a lot of moving parts happening, and a lot of well, I don't want to say a lot, but people are upset. Perhaps warranted, perhaps unwarranted. I don't know.
Exactly. That's kind of for you to decide. It's interesting. I guess this is it, right? This is it. This is all anybody's been thinking about and all anyone has been talking about since the first part of the quest came out. And I can't remember exactly when did the first piece get released?
I'm sure it was like 5 minutes after we ended our last episode.
Yeah, probably something like that. Has it really been a week already? I just can't remember when the first part of this task came out.
Terror Group Trail Part like 1. Monday?
Maybe. I thought that would probably make sense. I guess it's only just Friday today. Yeah. But anyway, so Fence appeared. I'm sure everybody knows by now, but Fence appeared with a job, and he said my men found a big cache in the health resort area. The group was not small, but they couldn't take everything. You have to go and find where those dudes have gone because they disappeared. And so the quest line begins with visiting Shoreline and going to... It's basically where, there's a little convoy truck. So you go between resort, and if you're on your way to pass to Lighthouse, there's that convoy truck where you always find some scavs. Yep. That's the place where you have to go and find Fence's dudes. And there's just like more dead bodies. I think there's usually like one dead scav or something in a bunch of boxes, but there's like even more dead bodies than before. Which is like, oh, okay. So then you go back to Mr. Fence, and you talk to him about it, and he's like, oh, I think there was some other piece of lore about how... What did he say exactly? Because this next one came from therapy. You have to go to like various different traders. This is why it's like kind of hard to remember exactly what happened. So therapist comes to you afterwards and says, 90% sure drugs are involved. You have to go and figure out what is going on. And there's like eliminate 2 weird scavs and find the source of their abnormal behavior. So the whole thing is about this stim, the Obdolbos N, which is some kind of like new stim that's been released into the Tarkov landscape. So you go to find the weird scavs. Now, there are 2 places for the scavs. I'm not sure why, but one of them is the same place where you had to go in the first place, right? Which is the truck. You have to kill 2 of them. They kind of are a little bit like raiders, sort of, but they wiggle constantly. Someone in my chat said it was like watching Shroud play BattleBit. If anyone's seen that clip, which is on Twitter, which is pretty funny. But there's actually a bunch on Lighthouse as well. So you can go to the Sunken Village on Lighthouse and get them there too. This quest this part becomes important again later, unfortunately. So you go there, you kill 2 of the scavs, you have to loot them as well and find an Obdolbos N on them. I'm not sure if it's 100%, but it's pretty high chance. I think I killed one when I first went, found the stim before even getting this quest. So all I had to do was go back, kill 2 of them, and I had the thing in my inventory already to just give it to therapist. So once you've done that, either between... I mean, I did mine on Lighthouse, the kills, because it was just easier. Because it's like more parts after this, which make it complicated. Just to like flash forwards, there's the goons and Sanatar, 100% spawn rate in the village, and that's like kind of close-ish to where those scavs are spawning. So there's just like people everywhere. I just found it so hard to get in. I was doing it late. I started part 1 and 2 after the weekend, because I think it started maybe over the weekend. I got to it. Yeah, that must have been it then, because I started it on Monday morning. It must have either been like Sunday morning or something, or Saturday afternoon, something like that, where it began. And so I just like didn't play. And so people were onto kind of the final parts that were released at that point by the time I started. And everyone was just like killing the goons, and it was just complete madness around that area, which is why I ended up going to Lighthouse. So then after that, you have to go to the Lighthouse itself, to the road camp,
right,
and find this laptop. Now, I was like, oh no, is this gonna be like... I had like PTSD from like V3
From
flash
the
drives
flash
from the
drive,
Lightkeeper thing. I was, oh my
yeah.
god, like 18 out of 20 spawns checked, like 3 raids. Oh my god! But it turned out that there were only a few places it could be. It was not too bad. So like the 2 gunners that you kill at the beginning of basically
Yes.
every rogue farming guide on the left side at the front. Well, it's just either in the portaloo thing, in the red container, like shipping container, or like one of those around that bit. So you just have to kill those 2 guys and maybe the machine gunner on building 1. Hop in, grab the thing, and hop out. I did it at night. It took me 1 go. I was like, thank God for that, because it actually wasn't that hard in the end. And then this is where people got onto when I was doing it, was you had to go and disrupt the meeting of the bosses on Shoreline, which was down at Village, which is actually kind of close-ish to the big sort of convoy truck thing.
Right.
And you had to go and kill one of the goons who was spawning there every single time, or Sanitar, who was also spawning there every time. So it was a meeting between the rogues and Sanitar and his cronies, supposedly.
Was
And
it either or?
yes, you had to kill any of
Okay.
them. Just any of those
just
guys.
one. Gotcha.
Yeah, and this is why I was like, oh, this is actually okay, because like kill the weird scavs. Like, yeah, you have to fight lots of players, but like in some ways, fighting players is never unfair, if you know what I mean, right? That's like fair game from quest design perspective. If there's a ton of people congregating on an area, that's just the way it is, right? You either got to wait or battle through at the beginning, or be better, or not die, or rat them out, or however it is that you want to play, right? But playing against AI sometimes I feel is a bit stupid. But anyway, the weird scavs were kind of okay. Laptop was not too bad. Fighting over that area wasn't too bad. Killing the goons and Salatar, as you say, is not actually terrible. Like, I know some people were really struggling with it, and that's understandable because it is kind of hard, especially if you've never fought them before. You haven't really got a strategy for it beforehand, and you're not really sure what to expect. But like, when I was going into it, I was like, really, the way I want to do this is they're in the compound somewhere. I want to approach from the water side and kind of move up the hill, because the worst thing, and I suffered from this the first time when I was trying to kill weird scavs. If you're even around the truck area, right, the truck's in a dip and there's a little hill on both sides. The hill closest to the villages is the bigger hill, right, the big sort of like rocky kind of hill with some bushes on top. You get shot by Birdo up there, like 100%. Like if he's down in the compounds, because it's like, he has like perfect, like you just sat there on the elevation. And I got shot by him. He fortunately didn't kill me. I was quite lucky. And then I got head iced by a scav anyway, so it didn't really matter. But I was like, right, screw that. Like, we're not going on any high ground. We're not coming down from a resort, like nothing like that. We want to come from the water. We want to go like up that little sort of hill line edge bit up to the fence, sneak ourselves in, and deal with it from there. It wasn't quite how I ended up doing it, but it sort of worked out that way. I did come in eventually from that side, like crept my way around, and went through the little fence door, and I just like threw a grenade and got them to aggro and have them run at me. So I had like Big Pipe, who came running through the door, and I shot him with the VSS. And then Mr. Sanato came running in afterwards, and shot him with the VSS, and took their stuff and left. But the thing about this quest is it would be really mean if you needed to kill more than one, A. It would be really mean if you needed to survive that actual raid, B, which you don't actually need to do. You need to survive a shoreline raid, but it's like Delivery from the Past or one of those classic quests, right? Where you have to kill any of them, and then you have to survive a shoreline raid at some point in the future.
I almost hate those, because like, just get rid of that part. Like, why is it even there?
Exactly. It shouldn't be there. They should just not have it there. Unless it's one of those ones where they originally intended it to be, you have to survive the raid, and then it just like doesn't work that way because of the way they coded it, and they just left it. I don't know. I'd rather it be this way than have to survive, but I'd rather it be deleted than the way it is now, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like the middle ground option.
Right there with you.
So either which way, it's actually completable. That you can try it as many times as you like. This is where it's good. This is what kind of annoyed me about some of the later parts of this quest. They're there every time. Everyone has a fair shot. Yes, you have to fight off other people. Yes, the AI is kind of stupid, but they're there 100% of the time. You get to try it every single raid.
Yeah. Right.
And when you do, you only have to get lucky once. If you kill one of them, any of them, you've basically completed the task. You then just have to survive another shoreline raid and it's finished. Like it's doable. It is actually doable, and you can throw yourself at it a million times with budget kit. Yeah. You know, it's possible to do.
A bit tedious, but it's
maybe a bit tedious. But at least you're also trying to do a thing. You're in raid. You're trying to do the task. Like it's just it's fine. It's fine as far as things go. So after that, then it was the 5 bitcoins for mechanic, which was interesting. Like I guess it's like not really much of, it's basically if you got Bitcoin Farm 3 and you've been keeping them, it still takes you, so these days it's 13 hours for a coin.
Okay, so you got 3,
so technically 2.5 days technically. And that's if you just sold your coin just as the quest started. So I had, because my hideout had been ticking over, I had one already. I had a second one coming. I had two, because I had a day until I was going to stream the following day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get two more. So I've got four, so I need one. I need one extra. So we went to streets and found a Bitcoin in one of the rare spawns there to get the 5. But like, I could see how it would be kind of hard for people who didn't have Bitcoin Farm 3. Because it does take a while. You don't necessarily keep Bitcoins because they're worth like nearly 400k these days because of how
Why would you
Bitcoin's
keep
price
them,
has
right?
gone back up IRL. Yeah, why would you keep them? Like no one really keeps them anymore. Makes it kind of tricky. And so to find 5 is kind of hard, right? This is one of the problems with these things. It's like the Lightkeeper task. We have to find like 5 of those damned radios, right? It's not like you have to find one VPX, one Vertex, one blah 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 blah. It's like you have to find 5. So it's like of all the things in the rare loot spawn, if it was one of each, then you'd be like, oh, I found a Rolo, I found this. And then after finding like 2 or 3 of each, you'd probably find the last one if you're unlucky. But to find 5, you're basically going to find 5 of all the things on average in that rare loot spawn. And you might get unlucky, and then the Bitcoin takes you forever to find. It's like kind of annoying, but there's a barter for it. There was a barter for it. This is why I was like, this is how I defended this one. I was like, okay, if you have Bitcoin farm, it's not that bad. You can find them in raid. It's not that bad. Like they do exist. Some people get unlucky. There is also a barter that you can do. Like yes, it's expensive, but you can barter for one if you're quick off the mark. And I did barter for one too. That was it. So I bartered for one, farmed 3. So there's multiple methods. But we started this one step down the slippery slope of quest design on this one. It's just a little gatekeepy, but it's okay.
But Giga,
once you've done that,
you should have been holding on to Bitcoins in case an event like this happens.
Of course. Of course. Like, it's why I hold on to all sorts of random useless junk. And people go like, oh, why do you have 30 million? Doesn't matter. I'm just like, well, things like this happen and then you need the money, Like, this is the issue. This is the problem. You just need it. It's like, same thing as well. Oh, why have you got all your guns and all your grips? It's like so inefficient. You should be stacking it all. And then, BSG deletes the flea market or whatever and all the traders. And then everyone's like, oh, you can't buy any gun. I can't buy any grips for my guns. They're all my meta guns are just spread in my stash and they're all useless. It's just like that kind of thing. That's why you hold on to this stuff. The contingency plan. Do I need all of my guns to be perfectly lined up 1 by 5 in 10 thick containers? No, you don't need that. You want to make sure that you actually got some buffer in case something weird happens, because weird things happen in Tarkov.
What's interesting is that's like a very like true survivalist post-apocalyptic mindset. Like the bunker bros. They got like all the MREs. Thousands of canned peaches and all this ammunition. It's like, but it's kind of because I would just operate on selling everything minimum stash rates, but it's just kind of weird because like that's how the game kind of works. It's like you just click buttons, like you always have it there until you don't.
Until you suddenly
happens.
don't.
Right.
Exactly. It very rarely happens that it's like, So once you've done that, then you get on to another okay quest. You basically have Blueberry quest, but for Russian gear, RUAF gear, It's the 10 scavs on each map with any Russian Armed Forces equipment. It's honestly okay. Like lots of things count. I think the kit du jour that seems to have been overtaken as one of like the fan favorites in the community is the Redoute M, an armor that I really like and I've liked for a long time, because it's kind of like the next down one from like the Zabralo, which is just kind of too heavy. You're always overweight. People who've got like near max strength or max strength can run most kits with the Redoute M, I think, and still be underweight. You have to. I think it takes like most of the time if you're using a regular assault rifle and the Redoute with a helmet and a bag and whatever, it takes you probably to somewhere in the 29 to 33 kilos region, which with max strength, I think you can get up to like 35 or so before you go overweight. So at least you start the raid under. So that was honestly fine. Like killing scavs is okay. Like there's no problem with that. It just takes a bit of time. You have to do every map other than labs. Factory causes me the most problems with that one because you just run into a billion players and half the time you die when you meet them. Other than that, probably Lighthouse, I would say, is more annoying. Just because there's not that many scavs. They're quite spread out.
Yeah.
Some on the road, some up in the villas. There's not that many in the road camp, but then the road camp's kind of annoying. Like there's some in the village, but then part of the village is these weird scavs, right? So people are farming those because I thought, okay, we probably don't want to go there if we don't want to end up in getting M61 from Jupiter. Probably not what we want. So I ended up finishing, Long Road, that task where you have to kill scavs on the road. I ended up finishing that, doing it.
Oh, that's funny.
Interesting. Yeah. So you do that. No big deal. Like a lot of the other maps, woods, shoreline, whatever, like just clear through it in one go. 10 scavs, boom. Like the new scav spawns, or at least like I say new, like newish, right? New from maybe last wipe and this one mean that you get a lot of scavs on shoreline now. You know, there's like ones by the truck on Scav Island, in gas station, power station, down by the road. Like Road Customs has scavs these days. Like there's quite a few. So it's not that big a deal. Now, part 9. This is what enraged me enough to actually make a video.
Oh, really?
Part 9 is stash the items around Tarkov. Doesn't really matter the location. They're relatively fair locations. Whiskey, Black MDR, EOTech sites, night vision goggles, which is kind of annoying because you can't put them into a secure container, so that's a bit like... And the SP8 survival machete. To stash inside the pumping station on factory. Now, this quest has got 2 parts to it that suck. The first one is that the SP8 survival machete is like, it's a nothing thing. Like, some people in the comments obviously have got like, oh, I've been carrying it around all wipe. It's like, okay, great. But like, no, there's no
They're
real
prepared,
reason to carry
yeah.
this. Yeah, exactly. They're prepared because they kept one of every melee item in their stash. Like, even I don't do that, right? And I'm, you know, like thinking of all the possible, you know, things sort of, I don't know, whatever it is. Anyway, so this thing didn't have a very high spawn chance. It spawns on Rashala and his guards, primarily, previous to this. So people were trying to farm Rashala. I think Willers farmed him for like 10 hours and didn't find it. Rashala's not 100% spawn rate. The machete's not 100% spawn rate on them. So, like, and you have to get there. You have to kill Rashala. You have to farm them all, or loot them all. You have to find it. You then have to take it out of raid and not die, all while everyone else is trying to do it, right? So this is awful. So they did change it a little bit, and they made it spawn on scars. I don't know if it was spawning on rogues before, but it spawns on rogues now, so you can get it. But clearly, the spawn rate is still extremely low, relatively, to the demand, because on the flea market, there are no listings. You have to go through the handbook to get the listing up, and spam the flea, and one will appear, literally, for any money, it'll instantly disappear. Doesn't matter how much you put it up for, instantly disappear. I was of the opinion, and still am of the opinion, that it's not worth your time wasting it trying to find it in raid. Some people were like, you know, we cleared out the road camp, you know, 6 times, we found 2. Some people were like, I had to kill 100 scavs and I found one, and that wasn't too bad. Some people are like, I've been playing for 8 hours and I haven't found one yet, and I've killed like hundreds of scavs and just haven't found any. Some people are saying apparently there's 20 on the fleet at the moment. So maybe just now, as the supply and demand like tipped in the favor of actually being able to get one. So hopefully they've managed to get it. They've managed to get it right. But originally it was really, really crappy, right? And when they just are not spawning like that, like usually the best way to do it is just to get it on the flea market, because as we talked about before, right? You can use your time in 2 ways. You could use your time to go and get cash, or you can use your time to go and get the item. But if the item is purchasable for cash, you're usually better off going to farm your most profitable route and then using that cash to buy the item. That's usually how Tarkov's economy works, unless it's something that's finding raid only, like a Tagilla helmet or whatever. So I decided to do it that way. And I guess the issue is that you're kind of like writing a blank check. You don't get time to look at the price. If you so much as like think about the price, it's already gone. Someone's bought it already. So you're just like, whatever the amount of money in your stash is there, you just have to accept that that might disappear when you do this thing. The other way that you could do, I mean, it doesn't really work anymore. Yeah, you can't really do that. You used to be able to put the cash on your player, because that would like take it like out of what could be used to buy stuff. I think it took it actually out of your inventory, like value, if you put it on your guy. But you can't do that anymore because you can only hold like 400k or something. So yeah, either which way, I'd like spam the flea for a bit. I was trying to do it on stream, but I was distracted. We missed a couple. I did it offline for like 5 minutes and found one for 2 mil, and bought that. The pumping station key itself is also annoying because again, it's like they're relatively common, but everyone needed one so they could get in there. Blah blah blah. I just don't think it's a fun mechanic. I really don't. Like making these items so rare. Like there's no
camping flea market.
Camping traders. There's no. There's like other people have said while we were talking about it on stream, like maybe make a side quest. You know, part A, B, or whatever, that, you know, you could go and do another thing to go and get it. Like that's one thing that you could do to alleviate the pressure. I think that would
sort
be
of like a passive quest. Like you're passively working on this larger quest while doing other quests.
So, well, as in just kind of like, you know, go and kill 10 raiders and then the reward is the machete. something like that.
Oh, okay.
So then you have the choice. You either like go and farm the normal stuff, you go and do this like special side quest, maybe make it difficult, I don't know, or you sit and camp the fleet. I just feel that maybe it's like, I think with this spawn rate change, it's probably okay now, but ish. But previously, it really was the best and most meta way and fastest way for your time, not to just like waste your life, to complete this thing was literally to just like sit on the flea and buy it. Which,
Yeah.
in my opinion, if that's the best way to get the item, the quest design has failed.
Something done wrong. You're right.
Yeah, I just think it's wrong. I just think it's completely wrong. Same thing with the pumping station key too. There was like front and back pumping station keys. They were also not on the flea. I had to like spam the thing a bunch to buy one of mine, so I could go and do it. So that was pretty annoying, to be honest. And I don't know. Like it, yeah, they've increased the spawn rate, okay, but it's just like there's so many other ways you can do it that are actually interesting, rather than doing it in this dumb way, right? And it's also just the perception of it. Like you just compare killing the goons who are always there. You always get a chance. You're strategizing, trying to put a kit together. You know there might be other people. You just have to kill them once. It's fine. Versus, oh, we've changed it so that there's a spawn rate on scavs now. So you just have to now farm scavs endlessly until you get one. Like,
yeah,
it just doesn't feel
it's tricky.
good.
It's tricky because like there's some cases where I do like grinding stuff, but you need like that very small incremental progression as you're grinding. You know what I mean? Whereas this is just like you gotta
even
grind.
if they did it, it's just like, scavs are now dropping machete fragments.
Yeah,
right.
like
And you have to put 50 together. I mean, obviously, it doesn't fit with the lore of Tarkov, but yeah, like you know what
but
I
if
mean.
you got
right?
like some bonus per fragment, whatever, like 1% faster hideout crafting per fragment. You know what I mean? Stuff like that I don't mind too much because you like feel like you're working towards something and you're like still getting like little rewards along the way. Whereas this is just like you just gotta keep rolling the dice till you hit the nut. And then as you were saying, having it like spawn on the goons, for example, like 100% spawn rate, to me that's more interesting because it's like, well, I'd argue that is kind of like Tarkov in a nutshell, is like you load into the map and there's a resource located here that a lot of people are interested in also, so you have to fight people. I guess you don't have to, but it creates conflict, and that's kind of I think that's what made the seem like a lot of people really like the Shoreline one, with the goons and the Sanitar. Because like, I mean, it kind of sucks because it's a little tedious. It's like you get a bad spawn, it's you got to go over there, but it's still kind of interesting because you're like the last one to get there potentially, and then the AI is a little tedious because you got to gamify it. But those are minor details. The more important thing is like, why are people playing it? I guess because of Roar, but it's to me, it's like I could see that being fun if I was playing it because it's like a new POI has appeared, and it's like it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's also partly because, as someone rightly pointed out in chat, this incremental, like, you may get it at some point. You just have to keep going, and it's a pure RNG. That feels even worse when the event is timed. Like everybody knows, it's not like Kappa. Like Kappa is kind of okay because it's like you have all wipe to do it. If you want to do it, you can slowly work towards it, and that's fine. There's plenty of time. Like some people get Kappa in, a month or whatever, but the rest of the player base you can spend the next 5 months working on it. That's fine. Whereas this thing, it's just like we don't know when it's going to go. BSG could pull the trigger on the wipe at any moment, and then anyone who's already got it, that's it. No one else can get it anymore. And all of your progress up until now is basically like wasted because that would because suck. the reason people are doing it is for the 2 lines of stash space, not because it matters particularly, but because it's permanent and it lasts forever. There's like there aren't any single upgrades in Tarkov like that right now. It feels impactful. It makes people want to work for it, which is then obviously it makes people feel bad when they
just the fact
get partway through or
permanent is probably enough alone in of itself.
I wouldn't be doing this otherwise. Let me tell you, I would not be doing this quest. I feel compelled to play. I played Streets last night for 2 hours on my own. off stream.
Yeah. And you're already
Um,
vested, so once you're in, there ain't no
I
backing
know
out.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so chat has I've gone and have a look myself as well. Has told me that yeah, there are a bunch of survival machetes now on the fleet. They start at somewhere between 5 to 7 million, so you can just go and
They've
buy
come
one.
down.
They have come down a little bit. There's not loads. We'll have to see later on whether this stays because like now it's still kind of early-ish. They might go back to zero again, but I mean, there's at least the supply and demand is kind of getting there. We will see. So yeah, so moving on through the next set. Where's my list of stuff gone? Yeah, so once you've done that, then you get on to part 10, which is killing 30 targets around the Lexus car dealership with the VSS. Kind of annoying that it specifies the VSS in particular, but okay, it makes the gun's kind of expensive. It's kind of annoying for me because like I'm not very good with the VSS. I've never been that great. It's okay at CQB, but I find shooting people at kind of like medium distance, I just find it really awkward with that gun. Just the bullet drop, the time of the round, even at like middling distances, I find you have to lead targets.
Yeah, it can be awkward.
And then the second shot recoil, it's
Yep.
just it's hard to control a burst unless you're really committing to a full auto, like we've talked at length about the recoil
Have we?
system. No. Well, did we talk about recoil? Nah, I don't think so. But the one thing that I will give them on this is that rather than it being like you have to set your foot inside Lexos and they also need to be in the physical building, like they gave it a really big grace period. So it's a big square all around. Sparger counts, like the shop. It counts all the way to the back of check 15. There's like the little bit where you get into check 15 from the back side. It's not all the way back, but probably up to the sort of sky bridge ground entrance bit, like the archway, probably up to there. The main road in front of the dealership counts. The sniper scav didn't actually up on the top bit outside the Pinewood Sparger, bizarrely, but anyway, the area is pretty good, and construction counts too, and some of Concordia. So that's actually all right. I don't mind that at all. That was kind of nice to know. But once you've done that, and another part of the quest appears, which is weird that it doesn't show you this to start with, but you then have to place Sanitar's bag on the second floor of the car dealership. So people are already there, farming scavs and stuff. You have to go and like take Sani's bag and place it. It's not as bad as it seems because Sanitar is spawning 100% on Shoreline and people are farming it and putting the bag on the fleet. So there are bags on the fleet now. I'm having a look and they're 500k. And when I was first looking at this, I was like, man, these might just disappear like all the other stupid items. So I bought one for a mil just in case. So I had at least one. And I had one attempt. But they're now like 500k. It's not too bad. I mean, I guess you might have been able to predict that. Like some people who just are playing the end events just don't really care about doing the task line. I guess are farming the goons and Sanitar and just like selling them, that kind of thing. So you have to place that down. I haven't done that yet. That's like the next bit that I need to do. I've killed the 30 dudes. That's what I spent last night doing, finishing off 30 scavs. And now I've got to go and place the bag. So that would finish you off for part 10. Now, this is kind of where the quest line like bifurcates into two, interestingly. The second half of the quest line relies on Lightkeeper. But parts 11 and 12 are not required for you if you already unlocked him. So parts 11 and 12 are basically a shortcut to unlocking Lightkeeper if you haven't done it already, which is a cool idea, I will say. Because unlocking Lightkeeper is a bit arduous. It's not as hard as Kappa, but I did it this wipe and it takes a while. But you have to do some of the things that you need to do along the way normally. I just like skip back because I didn't actually have to do them. Because it is a bit strange the way that it comes through because you basically fail the quest line and you're like, oh, what happened? But if you go, oh, actually, hold on. I need a military signal transmitter, military circuit board, insulated piece of plexiglass. I'm like, oh, this is like getting acquainted. It's the same task, but you fail part 11 and 12, and then you have to plant a radio repeater, which mechanic gives you. So it's basically like two of the sort of easier find and place quests in the mechanic quest line. And then you get on to part 13, where you have to go and get this like flash drive on customs that everybody has to do. Everybody has to do it. So yeah, so 11 and 12 basically allows you to shortcut getting to Lightkeeper. Part 13, you have to go to customs and get this V4 flash drive, which is up in the streamer room, the green screen room. And everyone has to do that. Because so when I was going through my trials and tribulations for getting Lightkeeper, that was the V3 flash drive. And this is the V4 flash drive. I was a bit worried that you'd have to like reflash your thing with the V4 flash, but that turns out not to be the case. You just need to go and get it. If you've already got it from Lightkeeper anyway, you get the V4 one, you just hand it to Mechanic, and then you go and visit Lightkeeper directly. If you didn't do Lightkeeper before, you use the V4 flash to flash the transmitter so that you can get over there, you see. So the quest kind of allows people in if they didn't get there already, which is cool. So all of that is just basically like a precursor to getting to Lightkeeper if you didn't do it. So part 14 is then where it really starts. So part 14 actually is kind of cool because you go to Lightkeeper on the island and he gives you part 14. Now, I know some people have experienced this once you finish Lightkeeper, but if you didn't, then you basically get to go and get his first quest for this Terror Group Trail part from him, which is kind of neat. And this is the next one that's causing consternation, right? So you have to pick up 3 reagents from the lab. One of them is on the table in the middle of the, I guess, like lab testing area down by the dome. There's nothing to do. You just go and pick it up. It's in the middle, so, you know, scary, but there's nothing else to do. One of them is in the black keycard room. Black room is opened almost every raid. It's by far the best labs room because it has stims in there, probably worth, God knows. Like, I went to do my run. I think I've actually still got my stims up. Yeah, I went to go and do my run before, and I got 2 mules as Augustine, a 3 BTG, an HF1, an SJ12, and an SJ9 in black keycard room, which is crazy. You know, like mules right now, they're only 100k. They were way higher than that before. But even so, it's still probably 600k's worth of stims, 500k's worth of stims, I would say. And the black keycard bastard is only like 2.5 million, something like that. So you get it back in 5 raids or whatever. And so that means black rooms are pretty much always open. So if you don't have the key for black, you can just wait and somebody will open it almost certainly because it's such a good room. The other one is in green room. Green is not opened as much. Green keycard is very rare. Green keycard is extremely expensive. A green keycard is also non-existent on the flea anymore. There is no way to get green other than buy it off the flea and or find it in raid, which is like just not going to happen for the regular player. So what are your choices? This is kind of where I'm at. I've done the first 2. And by the way, this is like the overarching strategy that I've spoken to a few people about who are trying to do it in like the most efficient way. The best way to do it is to go in, do the regular one on the table, do the black room one, and extract. Move those items into your quest inventory and go back in to try and find the green one. You get the green one, and then you bring them all back out of your quest inventory, go to Lighthouse, because you have to, at the end of all of this, right, you have to take these 3 reagents, you have to survive through Lighthouse and go to Lightkeeper and give them to him in person. So it's kind of scary. It's kind of the way that we thought in-raid traders should work. Like, this is why it's actually kind of cool. I don't mind. But the green keycard thing is annoying.
Yeah.
There's really 2 options. Well, I guess there's a couple of options, but the 2 main options are wait until the end and see if someone's opened it. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is just ask around until you finally find somebody who has one who could open the room for you. Is this really bad? It's not great. I don't personally think it's as bad as the machete thing because the machete one, like, you just have to have it. You can't plant it if you don't have it. And the having it at the beginning was awful. Like, maybe it's better now, as we said. You can buy them on the flea. Like, it is possible now. But green, you can do it without the card. So, like, is it terrible? Like, it's RNG. You're kind of waiting for somebody else to open it. Somebody was talking in my Discord earlier saying they've been in like 20 different labs raids and no one's opened it yet. They've waited to the end every single time and like no one's opened it. Kind of sucks.
Yikes.
So should you have to rely on like going in the Discord and being like, yo, has anyone got green? Like, can you run with me and open the room? Like, I don't think it's the best. It just makes it very tricky to complete on your own without it. But like, maybe that's not the intention. I just don't like it. I just don't like it very much. I feel like it should be completable for everybody. And not just be like, you didn't find green and you don't also have just a spare like 50 mil and 3 hours to sit on the flea spamming the thing. Or to go into, 20 raids and like no one opens the room. Like, it's another one of these RNG annoyances.
Yeah.
That's like, it's nothing really to do with your skill. You can't really do anything about it. You just have to wait for somebody else to open it, either by asking them and going into raid, by waiting and sitting there and chill, or somehow to farm the money up and find one on the flea. But I think now, like, they were rare before, right? But like now everyone's looking for one. So anybody who's got over 50 mil will probably just buy one immediately as soon as it's on the flea market. So you're very, very unlikely to get that.
That's kind of like another issue I have is like, you know, say you're wanting to go and do the thing or whatever. If you encounter someone on your way to green and you kill them, but you didn't have the green card, but they did, you just hurt yourself unknowingly, and it's not like you can loot the green from them. So like,
exactly.
In some ways, you're like hyper incentivized to not like do any combat. Like everyone is, so it's like very counter intuitive to like Tarkov as a whole to me.
Yeah, it's very weird. I've heard reports. There's people who like got their favorite spots, and there's been people accidentally fighting in the bathrooms because like everyone just wants to hide on that map and wait.
It's so bad to fight,
but other people are in there. Because
yeah, but like,
you go to your hiding spot and someone else is already in there. And you're like, like I think some people have managed to group up and chill together, but like other people just like don't trust each other, and so I've ended up like one guy's like tried to kill the other guy.
You have like
just in case he kills you later. It's a prisoner's dilemma, you know?
You just have like nothing, absolutely nothing to gain. Like it's
exactly.
You're fighting just to fight at that point.
Yeah. I did actually forget to mention for the Sanitar bag one, this is also another thing. You have to have the closed section key for Lexos as well. So the Sanitar bag bit is not actually too bad because you can buy them on the flea, but you need a rare key to get in there. So the closed section key is also causing problems because it's quite rare. It's not really used for anything, so hardly anyone has one. And you need it to complete that quest and plant the bag down. So again, same thing. You could just wait until the end and go in there and hope that somebody's got it on, but you have to go into raid with the Sanitar bag, which is like 500k rubles, wait through the whole of the streets, get into the Lexos bit where people are farming scavs, go upstairs, someone else has to have opened it, also been doing the planting quest, and then you can go in and do the plant yourself, like if you don't have the key. And if they haven't done it, then you have to take your Sani bag back out, take it back in again until eventually you do it. Like, I ended up buying, because I was chatting about it with someone else on Discord, and I was like, man, this is going to be a real problem, actually. And so I was like, let me just check one more time, and checked on the flea, did like 3 refreshes, and one appeared for 10 million. I just insta-bought it. So I did end up with one of those, but now, and I haven't actually planted the thing yet, but at least I can do it myself. And I can buy the Sanitar bag. Like, it's going to cost a bunch of money, but at least I can buy it, Whereas like this green card thing, it's just like, man.
But it's so stupid too, because
really
like
painful.
There's the green card's not even like valuable. Like there's not even like, I don't even know how many runs you have to do on labs to like make it worth. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess
green. Like, I don't even know.
I guess it's like you have infinite uses, but like I really hate like how it's like same thing with the other key. I mean, it's like this rare. Let's put in a 1%, 0.001% rare key item that opens up room to a loot that has a toolbox and a hose spot on the floor. Like it's so, and then we're also gonna make it a part of a quest where you have to do that. It's just, I wish they would either just like overhaul how keys work, spawn, whatever, or just like stop doing this quest bullshit, because it's literally just like, hey, you guys are too good at the game. We're gonna make you grind for 50 hours. Go farm jackets or 5 million rubles and buy this key. And now you can progress. I hate it so much. It's like not as egregious as the 24-hour cooldown timer, in principle, but maybe in practice, it's less egregious, if that makes sense. Because it may take me longer to grind for something than waiting 24 hours. Anyways, short rant over.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there have been some people who've just been like, well, these top level things, they weren't supposed to be unlocked by everybody. I'm just like, dude, this is a bit different though, because like Kappa's a thing to just get, and once you get there, you don't need the extra 3 spaces really. But like, I feel like this is different. 2 permanent rows of stash. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? Like, not really. But it's really a thing to push players to play, and if people just feel like it's impossible,
they're not going to play.
They're just not going to play. And like, that's what you're seeing now. And I just think it's such a miss. Like, just make it a bit easier. I don't like, does it matter that this is only supposed to be for the, it's like, who cares, right? Just like, let more people in. The quests are already hard enough, right? You have to plant, you have to kill 30 entities on streets. You have to kill 10 scavs on every single map. You have to like grab stuff from labs. You have to plant Sunny's bag in the middle of the hotspot. You have to, do a bunch of stuff. It's not The quest isn't easy.
I just think I'm fine if you want to make it challenging, like only the elite of the elite can get in. But like their definition of challenging is, hey, we're gonna put you in a factory and you're gonna pack boxes for 5,000 hours. That's you know what I mean? Not like you're gonna design the factory and create the mechanisms, no, you're just gonna be a grunt for 5,000. That's the shitty part for me.
Yeah. There's a difference between difficult and challenging.
Yeah.
Right? Like pressing, like having to say the reward is locked behind, you have to press a button once every 30 seconds for 12 hours. That's the task is easy,
right?
But it's quite hard to finish, because it's super boring.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's just like it's difficult but not challenging, if you know what I mean. And that's the thing. It's like finding getting in the green room is like difficult, but it's not challenging. It involves a lot of waiting around or asking other people. I mean, maybe they want people to ask people for help on this stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's the idea, but it's just like, yeah, it's just.
I mean, that's fine, but you could do that in a different system as well. Like why? I think it even gives credence to the whole like this is a streamer event because when your challenge is set to grind 500 hours, is that not kind of like catering? I don't it just fits easier into those people's lives that do play an excessive amount, whether it's their job or even the non-streamers, right? People that play a lot and like great for them, but it's funny about that because like I was looking at the comments on the latest. We did like a how to for like part 10 through 19 or something or whatever, and I was kind of surprised. There was a fair amount of like negative comments in regards to like I'm not playing this, or this is lame. Like I'm not gonna be able to do this. I was kind of surprised coming from like Airwings community specifically.
I think that's because of the way it was posed, right? Because the video is posed like anybody can do. I want to throw no shade on Airwing whatsoever, right? But to post it saying anybody can do it,
sure.
But like I got the door unlocked by a viewer. I got someone to bring the green card in. Like it's just like I don't know, man. That's why. That's the reason. Like this. That's just the way it has to be done, right? If you want to do it, but it's not Airwing's fault. It's because the quest design sucks, right? And the best way to do it is to get people to help you with the things that you don't have. But for most ordinary individual guys who like play with their group or whatever, like most people don't want to go on the official Discord with like other people who they don't know and have to try and like beg people to come online and join them, whatever. It is a lot easier for anybody who has kind of any sort of community to farm that stuff. It's just easier because people are like openly willing to do it for them. It's just a lot easier. So I think that's the reason, honestly. I do think that's why. Because I do think it is anti-individual players, this thing. I really do. Yeah. After the machete, and like, yeah, they changed it a bit, but all the other stuff, Lexos closed, machete, even the pumping station bit, green card, like it's just, I don't know.
Absolutely zero chance for people with jobs. 5 Bitcoin, green labs card. This is my third wife. I've not seen any labs cards. Already quit Tarkov.
It's just for most people, this quest is impossible without asking for help from other people. And a lot of people, well, there's a bunch of people that don't like playing Tarkov that way. Which is fine. I guess that's the thing. You just be like, well, it sucks to suck, right? If you don't like playing Tarkov that way, then you can't complete the event. But I just think fundamentally that's not like, I just don't think that's the message that we should be sending. Like this is supposed to be some kind of like cool lore event. Like fundamentally the way that this quest works is it's supposed to be, finding out a load of stuff about this like new truth serum that's being produced. But I guess you could go and read the blurbs and that kind of thing. I don't know, man. It's just like it just annoyed me a bit.
Well, it is tough to be fair because like how do you make it difficult? Is one question. I don't know. That requires some thinking, right? Come up on the.
It also depends on like what you're making it difficult for. You make it difficult so that the streamer is going to complete it anyway, no matter what you do.
Right.
So that doesn't really matter. So you kind of then just have to decide like, do I want, like, how many people do I want to be able to get this? Do I want half the player base to be able to get it? Do I want everybody who got to max trade as this wipe to be able to get it? Like, are they committed enough to be able to do it? Just generally, just broadly speaking.
Because see, this is the other part. Sorry to cut you off, but I think it's important. Is I feel like the people who are already playing are probably going to keep playing out of the group of like. There's like the people that are playing and not playing. You do an event. Sometimes event bring people back. I feel like that like this is a package. You get 2 free stash lines. Well, not free, but you get 2 extra stash lines if you do this. That's like a pretty good incentive to get people to come back. But then they see, oh, I need a green key card. 6 pick. Sorry, anyways, continue.
But that's it. It's just like, here, come look, we've got this wonderful reward for you. And as soon as you step foot through the door, they smash you in the face with a cricket bat. Just like, ha! You knew coming back would be a mistake.
That's true, though.
Dude, it's like, honestly, that actually sums it up. People are like, oh, you know, the reward's really good. Like, if it was just like all the bosses on reserve or whatever, just like, whatever, I'll just wait until the next wipe. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm really not that bothered. But this one's just like, come for this special reward. It's permanent. You can get a permanent upgrade. And then, yeah, just F you. As soon as you get halfway through, and it was also drip fed, right? So it's not like all the quests were open straight away. So people got like partway through, and then it's just like, oh, now it's impossible. Like, okay, it's like it's not impossible, right? Like when I'm exaggerating, but for a bunch of people, it is impossible. Like I'm gonna find it difficult. I'm gonna find it hard to get there because I'm much more, as I've always said, I'm much more like the ordinary player than most other people who are like streaming full time, just because my priorities are elsewhere, right? So like I'm either live online, but I'm only on 10 hours a week. The weekends are like full of stuff with the family, and the rest of the time I'm spending making YouTube stuff. So it's I got to like find the time. Like I don't know, I'm still taught. I'm probably going to try and put in as much time as I can to get it because I really do want to do it. But like there's quite a bit more to do, right? Like what part 10? Once you get to part 10, and you have to place the bag, that like finishes that piece. Then you get on to part 15, where you have to finish. So you have to finish the reagents thing first for Lightkeeper, which I'm also on. This is the green card one, and then you get part 15, which is easy. Like there's a lot of the other stuff afterwards is actually relatively straightforward. Like you have to go and do it, but it's not necessarily that hard. Go and get 2 flash drives onwards, and what you have to place one of them in labs and give one of them put one of them down in the USIC terminal Lighthouse. And then once you finish that, then you get 16, 17, and 18. 16 is find 10 Obdobos of Truth, which is the Obdobos ends, which is kind of annoying because that's the same spot that people are trying to get them for the very first quest, which is I'm not sure I agree with the way that was designed because like if people are starting it late, like oh maybe I'll give this a try, and then they're trying to find it. People are like having to farm 10 up for one of the later bits, and you're just trying to get started, and like you can't even find one. I think that kind of sucks. So that's kind of annoying. That's going to take a while. And then 17 is just like place a Wi-Fi camera on reserve somewhere. And part 18, eliminate 25 raiders again with the RUAF equipment. So that takes a bit of doing, but it's not hard. Like you get slow incremental progress, so that's kind of all right. And then the very final piece, eliminate any 7 targets during nighttime on shoreline in one raid. But you just kill 7 scavs, right, on shoreline in one raid. You go to the little lighthouse off the back of pier, you shoot a yellow flare, and then you extract. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Really not that bad. So like 16, 17, 18, and 19 aren't gated by any of this crap. I mean, just seems short-sighted, some of this stuff.
19 is actually a pretty good example, I think, because it's okay, you gotta like like you're engaging with it in like a more thoughtful way, right? You're not just pressing a button, like you said. So like eliminate 7 targets during nighttime with shoreline. You gotta think about it, okay, I need my night vision, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Then you got this like tense moment where you gotta go on top of the lighthouse, shoot the flare, when I'm gonna shoot it, where am I gonna go afterwards? You know what I mean? It's difficult, and like there's maybe some grindiness to it once you die. You lose a little bit of progression, you gotta start all over again. This is common game design, but like the freaking pressing F on loot box 5 million times in hopes for the spawn is just not engaging, man.
I mean, I will say, like, I mean, what is the threshold for completing this quest realistically? I think it probably is
the labs one, right?
Well, in terms of levels and player levels, it probably is Peacekeeper 4. I think you're really up against it if you haven't got to level 37.
Why?
Peacekeeper, because you need a black MDR.
Oh,
and you need to
that
plant
could
it in
be.
customs
Oh, it
earlier
has
on.
to be the 7.0.
Has to be the black 7621.
Uh,
If you don't have Peacekeeper 4, it makes getting the MDR really hard.
True.
But if you're not level 37, you're probably not completing it. That's probably where the line gets drawn, I think. Like, you can get night vision from Peacekeeper 3 with a barter. Like, that's
I feel
possible.
like I
but
have a better chance of finding Rashala, killing him, getting a black MDR than I do of ever having hopes of seeing the green key card. Like,
yeah, but the green key card thing is like the thing you're thinking about with the green card is like, I need to be in a raid with someone who has one who opens the door. That's the thing that you're thinking. That's the ease path to success if you're not going to reach out to the broader community.
Yeah, but it's like even then, like who, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. I'm like, where do I don't know. Like, I'd be shocked if any of my pals that are playing has green card. I don't even know if they did it. I'd have to ask, see if I don't even know if they're still playing. I have one friend that's like, he's a trooper, dude. Plays the entire wipe through and through, every wipe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, I kind of have sort of like it's not even goals. I have like broad things that I work towards in each wipe. Whether that's I'm not going to spend any of my I'm just going to keep bitcoins and then sell them all towards the end and just like see whether I can still keep my money afloat. Or this time I was like, I'm going to see how many thick items cases I could get. That was broad, like genuinely in the back of my mind, like what I'm doing. And I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5, and I'm about to get
Oh, that's
6.
fun. Yeah,
Which is kind of fun, and I enjoy doing that. That's cool because again, that's incremental progress. Because each time, like you go into raid, you like come out of raid, we found like the perfect min max path to getting these things. Because I don't really like farming up a bunch of cash and then just dropping it all on like lead X's and just buying it. I don't really find that very interesting. I prefer, even if it's more expensive, actually, I prefer to do the moonshine one because every time you come out of raid, you eat a bit of sugar, you drink a bit of water. Once the waters get to 1, you put them in the nutrition unit and make some whiskey. When the sugars get to 1, you combine them with the super water and make a moonshine in the hideouts. It's like perfect min-maxing. You never need to buy food again. Like, it's just like, it flows so nicely.
Making me all hot and sweaty with that level of min-maxing.
I know, it's beautiful. It's so good. Because I was using the jar of mayo for ages, and then we were talking about it with chat, and someone was just like, you should use sugar. Like, if you're doing the moonshine thing, you should use sugar instead. And I was like, man, you're so right. I should use sugar instead.
Sense.
So I switched over to doing that, and then just bottles of water to do the whiskey. And then you just need to buy vodkas, and vodkas are cheap, and you only need 30, I think. So it's not really that big a deal. But I've really enjoyed doing that. But like, I feel like now with this quest line, it's just like, usually back in the day, my goal used to be to get all the cards, all the labs cards. That used to be what I ground money for previously.
Oh, I guess because you buy them, right?
Because you just buy them off the flea once you get
true.
to a certain amount of money. And I was just like, it's just nice to have a full set. Like, not that I really play labs that much, and not that I really go there to use the cards, but it's a vanity thing, you know? Just
assembling Exodia.
Yeah, exactly. And then you finally buy red right at the end or whatever. So it just depends on each wipe. But this wipe is basically another one of those times it's just like, usually I try to keep one of all the rare items just in case. And daily quests kind of come into this as well.
Yeah.
But it's also shown me that like not getting all the labs cards was a mistake, Like, because something random appears and labs is important, you might need to get in one of the stupid rooms.
They're gonna do an event, Giga, where it's like the event happens and it calculates your stash and how many items you hoarded, and then you get a debuff based off that. You're like, no, I shouldn't have carried any items in my stash. Should I have a completely empty stash?
Yeah, well, then that would throw it all into that would throw it all in the air. I don't even know what to do about that. Oh boy. So yeah, I don't know. I'm about to place Sanitar's bag in the thing in Lexos. I need to go and get the green reagent. I just did, like, literally just before this. I was doing other stuff and I sat for 25 minutes in labs. I spawned in the sewer. I was like, perfect. So I just sat in the sewer for 25 minutes, hoping no one came to accuse me of extract camping. And I snuck around, grabbed the reagent off the table, and went into Black Room, which was unlooted, bizarrely. The raid seemed completely empty. There were no raiders. None of the buttons were pressed to any of the exits. And the rooms that I went to, green was not looted, and neither was black. I might have been in there on my own. I'm not sure. And I spawned in the sewer. I just like sat at the back in the sewer, just like, hi. But I went to black and the other one, but green wasn't there. So yeah, I extracted. They're in my quest inventory, safe and secure, so I can somehow get this green thing. I mean, again, if I want the 2 lines of stash space, if I don't want to drive myself completely crazy, because like I don't have infinite time, right? Like I'm not playing 10 hours a day. you know, now because I'm like slightly worried now that we're heading into the weekend. You know, I normally don't play any Tarkov on Friday or Saturday or Sunday at all. After maybe the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't play any at all on any of those days. So it's like, if I do that, how long do I have? If I have all of next week, okay, I have Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday's streaming slots, but that's like 10 hours in total, like 10 and a half hours. Is that enough to complete all these things? Like, the green card might take me 10 hours on its own.
I mean, are you gonna reach out to anyone? Like, I've heard Sherpa
Probably.
Hub has been a.
I'll probably just ask my community. I'll just
Yeah.
ask on Discord. I'll just say, has anyone got green? You can just run it with me and do that. I think it's the only reasonable way of doing it, honestly. Like, especially after the experience of others saying that they've been in there like multiple raids and no one's got it. Because like this wipe in particular, people know broadly as a collective consciousness that green room sucks. It's very expensive and no
Right.
one really bothers buying it, except maybe the super labs mains. So I think it's unlikely that it'll be open that much. Like, you just have to get kind of lucky.
Yeah.
Which is kind of rubbish. Because if we only and I don't know, I feel like maybe we only have a week. Like, the wipe's in August, supposedly. They could be late. I think it's either going to be sometime between like
now.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're so close, I think it's either going to be sometime between like the 10th and the 14th, or it's going to be at the end of August, one or the other, like the 30th or the 31st. Like, BSG are going to that Gamescom thing from the 24th to the 27th. So do they want people away while the wipe's on? Like, community, I don't know who will be there, like community people and community managers and stuff, I imagine. But would that be sensible if the wipe happens like a week before? But it could happen on the 10th. You know, the Obdorbos end stim has like 1008 on it, which could just be a tease. We don't know. The original date from the rating system had 26 days or something, and that went to the 14th of August, which they then updated to 40 something days, which ended up being the end of August. But they said, no, who knows whether that points to anything. And then there's that tournament list that they showed, which has 4 tournaments on it. The first 2 were kind of, I think they've already gone. They were like end of July. And then the 4th tournament was on the 19th. And the 3rd tournament was the Wipe Day tournament, TBC. So a lot of people read into that as saying, well, it's between tournament 2 and tournament 4. And tournament 4 is on the 19th. And tournament 2 is on the 31st of July or whatever. So tournament 3, the Wipe Day tournament, has to come somewhere in that period. So is Wipe confirmed before the 19th? Maybe. And the Obdorbos Stim says the 10th. And then this event, we had the finale yesterday or the day before. So are they going to give us a week to finish it? And then Wipe on the 10th? Who knows? Like, we don't know. But that's kind of where the community's framing. Like, it's either going to be in a week or a week and a bit, or maybe at the end of the month, I feel. But impossible to know. But that puts, like, you know, it's that collective anxiety through everybody, including me, of like, I want to do this, but I don't want to have to spend all day doing it. I have other stuff to do. You know? I have 15,000 children, and, you know, I go to university 60 times a week, and, you know, but like, you know, the meme aside, right? Like, my livelihood depends on me making videos about Tarkov. It doesn't depend on me actually playing the game. And I have 2 kids, and it is hard. Like, I very much sympathize with everybody who wants to play, you know, and a lot of people who are level 50 something or whatever, and it's just like they did that throughout the wipe, and then it's like, okay, you've been given a deadline, but you don't know when it is going to be finished. It's just like, oh, dude, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't sweat. I mean, yes, it's permanent, but it's just 2 stash lines. Like,
it is, but I want to do it, you know.
Of course. I mean, yeah, sure. Sometimes just doing the thing is what it's really about.
Yeah, it was like the Lightkeeper thing. It was just like, I don't care for Kappa. It's not permanent, but I was like, I want to do Lightkeeper the first time it's been available. Like, next wipe, like, will I do it? I don't know. We'll see kind of what the achievements are after, like, you know, whether he gives you stuff, or he probably won't in the next wipe because they said it wasn't coming until December. But we'll see, and maybe I'll do him again. But I'll feel less compelled to do him this time because I've already done him once. So I'm like, okay, I know what that was like. So, you know, that's fine. But then this again, it's like, it's being part of that thing of doing something. This is the first, you know, it's the first time we've had permanent rewards. Like, I want to be part of that, you know. But I feel like BSG are kind of locking, or almost like starting to lock even me out, right? And like, I'm, you know, probably able to play a bit more than the average person. Not much more, but a little bit. Or at least I can be flexible and do so if needs be. But yeah, I don't know. Just a bit weird.
Well, shall we discuss the old wipe theories?
Yeah, I mean, I ran through them briefly. Are there any other wipe theories that you're aware of?
Oh, did you talk about the Aldovus one?
Yeah, the
Oh, I'm sorry.
1008.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. But yeah, the I don't know. When do you think it's going to be? Kind of like just looking from the outside in. Do you know? Do you have any other insights?
No. I mean, I would probably say the 10th, but who knows, dude? Because
Yeah.
they've done the trolling before, so it is a Thursday though. You have to remember.
I know, but I don't think they like wiping on Thursdays. Like if I go, actually, do I have it up? Maybe I'll have to go and find it. Let me see. I've got a list of the days. One sec. I've got a start. Where's my starred Google Sheets? I'm using a different browser, so let's have a look. Yeah, so I've kind of noted down each wipe. Let me find it and the days. There we go. So the Thursday meme came about because as far back as my records go, which is the 27th of October 2017, that was patch 0.4. That was a Friday. The December after, in 3 months, because this is back when they did really quick updates. Actually, even 2 months later, they wiped in December. After that, April 2018 was a Thursday. July 2018 was a Thursday. November 2018 was a Thursday. Then April 2019 was a Tuesday. October 2019 was a Sunday. And May 2020 was a Thursday, as was December 2020, was also Thursdays. Since then, since December 2020, they haven't wiped on a Thursday ever. It was Wednesday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
First time for everything.
So we've had 2 years without a Thursday wipe. And I don't know whether this was just because they realized that wiping later in the week is a bit of a pain because things can drag on. You'd imagine just from a business perspective, they'd rather wipe
Friday,
on a Tuesday.
Right.
Or
Friday
a
would be
Sunday.
really bad.
Friday would be really bad because it's they're right into the weekend. Wednesday's probably okay. Monday is, everyone's getting ready for stuff. Tuesday's probably the
Tuesday is probably,
Tuesday,
yeah.
Tuesday's the day for getting stuff done anyway, in the world, right? Monday, everyone's kind of, sleeping
right.
and, the weekends just happen. Everyone's, getting ready for the real world again. Tuesday, real things happen. Wednesday, people are it's hump day, kind of getting towards the end of the week. So I don't know. They haven't done one on Thursday for a little bit just because some of them, they do run over in terms of, I guess, patch problems, I suppose. But we are officially over the longest wipe ever. The longest wipe of all time prior to this was, and let me just make sure that the ordering is correct on this. Yeah, so the previous longest patch was patch 12, which is 214 days. I think that's right. Is that patch 12? Oh no, maybe it's patch 12.9 actually. Either way, it was 12.6 or 12.9. And we're at 219 days for this wipe. So we're 5 days over the longest wipe ever. At 7.3 months. Wouldn't you know? Which will be, I think this is my 9th wipe. Pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So, dude, I don't know really. I'm not really sure.
Regardless, I hope that, people can get it done in time and that they keep the event going till the very last second the servers go down. I think that's only fair.
I think
there's kind of no reason to be sorry, we're stopping it and now we're going to do this other thing. Just leave it in there.
Yeah, I think people could do with 2 weeks or whatever from now, really, to do it. It would be nice if it was running for a month to the end of the wipe. Running for a couple of more weeks to the end of the month before they wipe.
Yeah, I mean, given the circumstances, yeah. I do think some of the quests are extremely more grindy than others.
Yeah, I mean there are worse quests. This is the thing. Like we've gone through every single one, and we've talked about where the pinch points are, and most of them relate to keys and things like that. Like the quests themselves, 10 of Dorbos ends. I'm not really looking forward to. If everybody else is trying to fight over those cracked scavs and trying to loot them, that might be really frustrating. And they have to be found in raid too. Like the first one didn't need to be found in raid. These ones all now have to be found in raid. So if you die with the Avdolus N, not only does the person who killed you not get it, you also don't get to hand it in.
Because presumably it's in their container and their injector case, right?
Yeah, will be. Yeah. Exactly. Which is a bit annoying.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Like, how many people are going to get to that part is another question. You know, because like that is quite late on. That's part 17 or something. So that's like after the green card bit. It's after the closed section key for Lexos. It's after the machete. It really is a big filter. You know, like a lot of players entered. The machete cut down a load of them. No pun intended. And then green key card and the closed section key just like filtered through. You know, there's just out of the other end, out of the tunnel of the Tarkov Trail Part 16 or whatever is just like the grizzled, weathered view left. It's like
if you did the machete, especially early on, like you might as well go the full distance.
Well,
in my opinion, like
it's quite early the machete.
I don't care what kind of streamers chat you got to go in and harass and follow. Even like I bet someone out there is like, bro, if you sub, I'll take you to labs right now and open that green card. I can just see it now. But I don't know. I feel like you're at that point. Once you get the machete, you're kind of in it to win it.
Maybe, yeah. Sad in chat, who is one I've been speaking to about this quite a bit. He said like 25 radius also seems to be non-trivial. I got to say, I almost feel like I'd rather. It's hard. It's tricky. I almost feel like I'd rather kill 25 raiders than farm 10 of Dorbos end stims. I don't know. I think it's just something about the fact that like you go there, you kill a raider, you die, you've made progress. You know?
Yeah, you get that small progress, right?
Yeah,
like it's
even
easier.
though it is hard, but it's easier on the mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And you think of like the chances is just like, oh, you go in and you kill a raider, that's fine, you make progress there. Whereas like if you go in, you kill the scav, no one else is there, you loot them, they have an Obdolbus on them because it's not 100%. You have to take it, then leave, get out the raid, and not die. It's like that's fine. I think it's just, again, it's the time limit thing. I feel like I can probably do the raiders faster. Maybe I'm under misapprehension here. Honestly, like I could just be wrong. The raiders could end up being a real pain, but I don't know. It's also annoying though because it like takes you. It's the same thing with a lot of Tarkov quests, though, right? It's like takes you to the lab a bunch of times, and then it's like now kill loads of raiders on labs. You're like, no, I've just been here like 3 times. Like, dude, could I not have been doing that at the same time? But yeah.
Have you heard? And I'm gonna approach this topic carefully because I don't know if I actually want to get into it. But have you heard about the nice guy / Sons of Soon nuke stuff as of recent?
I've been very broadly following it. It was something to do with the ARG and the final section from the ARG. They unlocked like the final branch, I think was the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was there. It must have been there. I think it was in that section. Did you take particular note about this?
Well, I happened to see a video someone posted in the ScavTalk Discord, and it was a nice kind of video, but it was on his official channel. Like, I say his official channel. It was on like the Nice Guy Hub channel, not like the Nice Guy Tarkov channel, which is
I'm not really sure why.
I'm not sure either, but yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just very interesting because I thought that I'm not really sure what to make of it. Like, this is the thing. I have not been following, especially the nuke stuff that close. I mean, we had the nuke stuff back when the arena was being teased, which turned out wasn't a nuke stuff, but now it's like it almost feels like there's a bit of retconning going on here, and I just don't know what to make of it. Or this is the other thing, which like to me is like equally whatever, is it's like being misinterpreted as like this is the new thing, you know? Because like I think, you know, there's clearly some
Have you got
type
the thing
of
up? Have you got the text to hand?
I'm on his page, like his Twitter page right now. So like I'll just read what I'm looking at. I'm not really after 2 weeks of work, the Sun soon cracked the final ARRS puzzle and revealed what the event would have been: a flea market shutdown compared to all the bosses on the street, free labs, and possibly this hidden Terror Group stash, which might have been what we've been doing all week. It's possible all bosses on the streets and the flea shutdown will happen before Vipe will see. That's not actually what is related to what I was talking about. I thought it was. So but that's kind of a side. I'd have to
I'm sure he
like.
put it up there. Didn't he put it on? Was it not on his Twitter? Was it only on the actual video?
I think it was only on the video. I would have to like pull up the
I
video.
thought it was on his Twitter. I really did. But yeah.
Maybe it was, and he deleted it. I'm not sure.
Oh yes, and as you say, it's on Nice Guy, the channel, as opposed to Nice Guy Tarkov for some reason. I don't know why he put it there. Maybe he must have some kind of like specific reason. Maybe it's because it's like less edited. I don't know. So anyway, I found it. It says, I think this. So this was the. Oh no, sorry. This is the last part of Terror Group Trail. That's what it is.
Right.
So if you finish all of it,
and
you finish part 19, the finale, because the actual BSG account have been tweeting as well, by the way. So BSG, after the very first one, they only tweeted after the second one, I think. But they tweeted part 2, break-in, part 3, intrigue, part 4, sabotage, part 5, execution, part 6, finale. But there was actually another one, which is weird. They actually posted like part 6, daybreak, deleted it, and then reposted finale, which is kind of weird. So whether that's just a mistake, was there something else going on? Are there like multiple quest lines here that we're not aware of? Not really sure. Either which way, it says, and this is what Fence tells the player, because the last quest for part 19 is from Fence. He says, the clients got what they wanted, and I got what I wanted. Now, the most important thing is that the most important thing is that everything these people got was fake, a decoy. The real data from the laptop is still on Tarkov's territory. This is way more global than any of us realized. I promise to tell you exactly what my men found in Santal's stash where it all began. They found components and documentation for a bomb capable of incinerating entire cities worth of electronics. The data from the cache is old, and it looks like the actual prototype has already been used. My guess is that the entire conflict in Tarkov was created artificially as a testing ground for this device. Everything that happens in Tarkov is just the beginning of something bigger, but that's just my guess. The truth is beyond comprehension for now. And it's a screenshot from the video on Nice Guy's main channel. It's not Nice Guy Tarkov, just Nice Guy itself, his latest video called Tarkov Getting Nuked. Now, the only things that I can take from this is it seems like the prototype has already been used. Maybe that's the original blue flame that starts the whole Tarkov thing in the first place. That's all I know or can think about really with it. But yeah, it's weird because this whole like nuke thing did get a crazy fever pitch in the community at the time. And then now it's come back. I don't really know. I don't really know what to think about it really.
There's a comment that's got me cracking up. It's earlier when you were talking, they said it's Finsenheimer. Like Oppenheimer. It's the Oppenheimer Tarkov crossover we always wanted. Oh my god.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll come to something when we all least expect it. You know, BSG is the kind of group that if everyone's going crazy, they're actually probably less likely to do it. Whereas to like tease something and then Nice Guy's like, oh! And everyone's just like, yeah, Nice Guy, all right. And that's the time I think BSG may actually go and do something, which is quite funny. You know, they like taking the community by surprise. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not looking into it any more than this, I don't think. But it's interesting that they've made some reference to it.
Yeah, well, see, I just can't. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird because I don't know if they're referencing. I don't know if BSG is like, okay, this is the hypothetical, right? Nice Guy comes up with this nuke theory, right? Turns out that's not the case. BSG looks at this like, huh, that's actually a good idea. Let's take that and like retroactively fit it in later. That's like scenario 1, right? Scenario 2 is like, this is completely unrelated. This is just like setting up the prelude to the how the Tarkov came about. You know, it's sort of like teasing the 1.0 storyline. And then you got the Sons of Suna over here and be like, it's the nuke. It's the nuke. Because there's this like whole thing about nukes creates like a EMP effect, which I'm not too sure about. I don't know. I mean, I know like electrons and neutrons flying, whatever. Go watch Oppenheimer. Anyways, the point is, I don't know. There might be some credence there. I don't know. I'm not the person to know these things, but it's just I don't know. I don't know what about it that's like just off-putting for me. If it's like this whole like retconning thing, or if it's like getting a little too like real, like conspiracy theory territory. But it's like it's a video game, so it's like fine, but it's still kind of just like irritating on some level. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I was just curious how much you were up to speed, or if you were even up to speed on the old nuke stuff.
The thing about it is that we haven't really heard anything since when it was all crazy last time, and then there was this big trailer, and everyone was like, oh, it's Arena. And it was just like really weird. Since then, no one's really said anything. This is the first time that we've seen. I think that's why Nice Guy's so surprised about this, because this is the first time that we've seen any reference to it since then. There's been no other hints. No one's spoken about it, as far as I can tell. Maybe Sons of Soon have carried on with their stuff, but I think like a lot of people, including those guys, like shelved it after that, just being like, okay, whatever. And this is the first time there's like a direct reference to it that's new in the lore. And I like the lore stuff. I'm not surprised that you would think that I'd be up on it, but I don't think there's really anything to be up on. I just don't think this is the first thing I believe that even references it since all of the random clues they were trying to read into previously.
But what is it referencing? Is my question to you.
It's supposed to reference the start of the Tarkov conflict. Okay. That's what I mean.
Okay.
It's like the original Tarkov conflict was started off by because I haven't actually read the books. There's Dan Exer has read the books. There's people who know a bit more about the backstory and about this like blue flame thing, which is this EMP device, which, as per Fence's message, it sounds like the prototype was already used once, which may be the thing that's engulfed Tarkov into the problems that it's in, right? This EMP destroyed all electronics and whatever, so it kind of brought the region into chaos. But I don't know much more of the backstory other than that, and how that really links to Terror Group, because that's a cult thing. But I don't know.
Because I guess based off what you said, it seems as if, and maybe I'm getting this wrong, but it seems as if Nice Guy is interpreting, or the way he's presented it, it's like, guys, like he opens up the video, it's like, guys, the nuke is real, and it's like there's like some, I don't know, maybe I'm just like way off base here, but it's just really weird to me. It's like guys, I was right the whole time. The nuke was real. See, I don't know. It's just
the
weird.
The thing is, like, Nice Guy, I think him and the others who were involved in that dropped it on the basis of it fizzling out, as opposed to it not being anything right. Because like Nice Guy at the time was just like, it's very clear the links between what they've said, various nuclear weapons that do exist in real life, and stuff like this, right? They were like, there's too many things to be a coincidence, but then nothing happened. So they were like, well, like you can't carry on talking about it, right? If there's nothing else to it, and that's that. So I'm pretty sure that he probably was convinced still that it was a thing. And if you asked him, he probably would say, yeah, I reckon there's still something going on in the background. I reckon. And so then when this thing's reappeared, he's just like, okay, so they are still, interested in like giving us teasers or clues about this nuke thing. I reckon he probably still held the opinion that it was relevant to the storyline. I think he just stopped talking about it because BSG stopped talking about it, is the way that I interpret that. You can't spend 6 months conspiracy theorying when there's nothing to feed on, right? Like BSG didn't give anything else away, and that was that. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, perhaps I misunderstood the original nuke origins, because in my mind it seemed like there was going to be a nuke coming to Tarkov, like
that's how they thought they were going to wipe the game.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now it's starting to come back to me. Yeah. Because I remember. Yeah. They copied Fortnite. Cringe. Yeah, it's
But
starting to
what's
come back to me.
interesting is that we talked about Fortnite back in the day, if you
Yeah, I
remember,
do remember
about how they have these like end of season events and it's like super cool and no one knows what's going to happen next. Like it's this global storyline that everyone's involved with. Really sick. Like it's awesome. You know, we've come a long way since then. Like Taco back then didn't do anything. Like I've made that stupid video which was about like adding some like lore thing to
Was
like
it
reason why stuff
stupid?
happens. I liked it.
See, it wasn't stupid.
The self-depreciating UK, style coming out there. But it felt. I think it's because it felt kind of bad to me. I knew it could have been better, but it was like the best that I could do at the time. I think that's why I've always just like, But it was, yeah, it was okay. But either which way, we've come a long way, and they have actually put a lot more effort into some of the lore stuff, and especially with this, right? This is the best that we've seen so far. It had the potential to be the best end of wipe event. Like end of wipe events with a big long quest line filled with lore should be accessible to more people.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
the reward is like the participation and like engaging with the lore and game, and
I think that the goal of this should be like keep Kappa and all the other stuff. Like, yeah, you have to be really dedicated and whatever. But an end of wipe event, regardless of what the reward is, I think the goal should be maximizing the player base engagement and enjoyment of the game at the end before we head into a new season. That's the way that I see it, and I think that's why I think it's a bit of a miss.
Could you imagine they do an end of wipe event, nuke goes down, wipe happens, servers go down, servers come back up, and now there's like radiations of feature in the game. It's like that's how they introduce the mechanic, and there's like this big leading up storyline to it for pre-wipe. That would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cringe because that's copying Fortnite, and we don't like Fortnite because that's cringe.
Dear me. Yeah, we've come a long way. I think it's good, and these things are easier said than done too, right? Because they've got to like do the stuff they got to do and do all the patch stuff, the wipe stuff, whatever, and link it in interestingly into the lore. Like it's not easy, but if they want to be top tier, then they kind of have to do it, in my opinion. But yeah, I just wish that this the event was a little bit more inclusive of more players, and you could make it just as interesting. I think like the most of it is fine. This is the thing that annoys me as well. I think most of it is fine. You could get rid of the irritating gatekeepy key sections and leave everything else as is, and it'd be pretty good. It'd be a pretty good event. Like the event doesn't need to be gate kept behind green keycard. It really doesn't. It doesn't add anything to the event at all, other than just piss people off. Honestly. And like, yeah, it's doable, right? If there's two different ways of looking at it, you can look at it from the player's perspective. What's the this is the system, whatever. I'm just going to get through it. The best way to do that is probably just to go and speak to whoever you know, try and go and get the green card, From the other's perspective, being critical of the event and being, from a quest design perspective, it definitely could be tweaked and be significantly better and more enjoyable for more people, which I think should, I think that should be their goal. I don't like it's not the end of wipe reward shouldn't just be like, oh, well, we want to make this one really, really hard as well, so that only a fraction of the player base can get it. Like that's not really the point of end of wipe events. Like if you didn't want to do that, don't put the 2 lines of stash behind this. Then put it somewhere else. Give it to something else. I don't know.
I think they just went a little too harsh in one direction because I can totally see some people being like, oh snap, let me play Tarkov because they're going to give me 2 free stash to complete this thing, and this is only like a limited time. Like FOMO, man, is real. But then they get into it and it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize I have to play 50 hours pressing F on loot boxes or scavs or whatever. So I think if they just fix some of that stuff, it'd definitely be an improvement.
Yeah. Which is why I've been vocal about it, because I want them to know, I want them to know how I feel about it, because I feel like I'm representing a lot of people, and how they feel about it as well, and that it doesn't need to be this way. There's no need for it to be this way. Like, there's just a ton of comments on my thing, just being like, "Well, these things should only be achievable for that." It's like, but why? Freaking why? Why? Why do you want to do that? Like, yeah, there's some stuff in the game should be like that, but not this. There's no need for it to just be super hard. Like everything doesn't need to be super hard in the game. Like people can achieve nice things in the game. that are permanent and make them feel good about themselves.
But it's a
We can do
hardcore
that.
game.
Oh, I know. Some people are so hung up on the fact that it's hard and hardcore, and only the most hardcore can get the hardcore rewards, the hardcore permanent reward. I just think they need to chill out and just let more people enjoy themselves. You still have to put a ton of work in. It's not like it's easy. It's not like you just extract from customs 10 times and you get 2 slots of 2 extra rows. Like you have to do a bunch of stuff. But just take out the bullshit that stops people from progressing, because it's a bit like in other games, right? Like in single player games, if you reach a certain section, like I think Witcher 2, when I played Witcher 2 all the way through, there's a part where you meet like one of the big fighter baddies, and there's one particular scene that's like really, really difficult, and it's like let's put it this way, like Witcher 2 is quite hard anyway as a game. It's like very out of the usual spectrum, right? You kind of expect a certain difficulty when you play a game through, and there's a huge spike at that point, and it takes ages to get through it. And that nearly put me off playing any more of it, because I was like, oh man, like I'm now not enjoying myself. I enjoy the challenge, but when you're suddenly hit with a brick wall, you just think, oh god, is this really worth it? When you're just in flow, you're just kind of going with it. You're just going with it, seeing where it goes. And you're making progress. It's psychology as much as anything else. But as soon as you hit with a brick wall and you're like, I'm not making any progress, I don't really see how to get through this. The way that I can get through this, like I don't really want to do it that way, because it just feels kind of lame. You think, man, maybe we'll go touch some grass instead.
Yeah. Don't have much more to say, dude.
I think that's it. So what's next?
All right, let me tell you about this game, right? Starsiege DEADZONE. Okay. Now, some people may be familiar with the name Starsiege. Apparently, there's this game called Starsiege Tribes, and I remember playing it. I like the name Tribes really rings a bell, but I didn't realize Starsiege Tribes was a predecessor or a pre-name, whatever. Really cool game. It's like basically like Halo, except like skis. Yeah, everyone in chat saying Tribes. Yes, it's like skis, Halo, capture flag. I remember playing it when I was a youngster. It was a lot of fun. So I believe this is from the same IP, but I'm not sure about the devs, the studios involved, whatever. But this game, Starsiege DEADZONE, is another extraction shooter. Let's go. You guys love extraction shooters, right? So this one's interesting. I played it. I probably got about 20 hours in it. Let's see if I can
that's interesting, because people in my chat
hours.
keep asking me about it. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts without having to actually go and play it, because I'm too busy getting 2 lines of stash space.
Well, it is essentially Dark and Darker, but Space Marine and secure containers. That's essentially the gist of it.
I mean, I like Space Marine.
Yeah.
I like Dark and Darker.
Yeah, it's very close to Dark and Darker. So you have your dungeon, your space station. You got different little rooms are connected. I'm not I'm assuming the map is fixed. I don't think there's any like procedural generation of randomizing parts of the map. I don't think that's the case, but I could be wrong. But it's very Dark and Darker like. You got the ring that closes in. And this one's kind of cool because the space station is gets destroyed essentially.
Oh,
so
right.
like you are exposed to outer space, and like if the floor, as the ring closes, the floor falls beneath you, you just fall into space and die. So you really gotta make sure you're moving with the ring. And your extracts are little like space pods that just like emerge from the ground instead of like portals. They're just like pods. Like I swear they just like took Dark and Darker to just copy the so many aspects of it.
You're gonna have to watch out for Nexon, let me tell you.
Yeah. That's the joke, right? Well, so obviously you got guns, gun combat. You got AI, which is called cybrids. Not cyborgs, cybirds maybe. I'm not, but anyways, they're essentially robots, whatever. There's loot. There's you got tiered loot, green, whatever, blah blah blah. So a couple interesting things that set it apart. So one, you have a secure container, which you don't have in Dark and Darker, so it's a little different, I suppose. Still very extraction-y shooter, but whatever. You don't have a class. You sort of have like a generic Space Marine guy. However, your armor system is very different. So you can't loot armor off players. It's like
Oh,
bound
weird.
to you. Right. That's what I thought. And you start out with like no armor, and you buy it from the traders, and you buy the gray armor, the starter armor, and it just gives you more health, more shields. You have
Right.
like you heal your health with the health pack, you heal your shields with the shield pack. It's basically 2 HP bars. Shield goes down, then you start taking health damage. Pretty simple. Where it gets interesting is once you go up the next tier to green. And green is where you start getting your first what's called masteries. So not only do you get more HP or more shields there's like 6 different slots for these armors, but now you get a mastery point, and it's random each time you acquire an armor point. And your mastery could be like agility, for example.
Right.
And you sort of
Do
have
you
like,
pick it
no, it's random. You
on the
randomly,
on the armor?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if you like, I don't think you can loot armor. I think it's exclusively you buy it from the traders. So when you buy it, it rolls random. Like the range of how much it protects you is like how much HP and armor you get is random,
Hmm.
and also the actual mastery you get is random. So let's
Okay.
say there's like 8 different masteries, like acoustics, recon, cybrid, hacker, medic, but whatever.
Right.
Let's Once you get 2 in the same category, let's say I got 2 agility, you get your first like mastery. Like 1 agility does nothing for you, but once you get 2, then you get something, and then once you get 4,
Hmm.
you get something, and once you get 6, you get something within that
Okay.
mastery, right? So, and I think you have like up to 6 different slots to fill. So you could potentially, if you're lucky enough, you could roll each one of your armors and get agility as that mastery for each armor slot to have a total of 6. So you get the level 2 perk, the level 4 perk, 4 points or whatever, and 6 points. And like, you know, 2 agility is like I think when you take damage, you move 20% faster, and 4 is like you just get like a flat 15% movement speed bonus. Different things like this, and then
Hmm.
6 does something with a skill. So it's sticking on armors for a second. It's interesting because, as I said, you can't loot your armors, like you can't lose it. So there's like this real like power curve you start getting once you start getting those masteries, and your character becomes stronger. And it's kind of neat because you're like incentivized to like keep rolling to get masteries to stack up to a particular build you want to do. Like if, for example, I had like one where it was like I had 2 points of medic, which allowed me to heal my health faster, like use my
Hmm.
health regen faster. And maybe I had like 2 in like we'll just say agility. So like when I got shot, I moved faster. So there was the interesting thing where it's like, oh, I know I have 2 medic uh points, so I know like I'm taking damage, I can get heal faster than this guy can. But it's even more interesting because he doesn't know that. Like in Darker Darker, I see the guy's
Hmm.
a rogue. I know like what abilities he could have. Whereas
Yeah.
like everyone's a generic space marine, and it's like I don't know what thing masteries they have. So it's that's just something to note, I think. But so anyways, the way they kind of fix this like power creep you have, where you can see a scenario because as you go up to like purple and exotic and whatever, you get like multiple masteries. Like I think you get up to 3, so you could have like tons of different masteries all the way up to 6 points and get all these
Yeah.
bonuses. Like, and you wouldn't want to be a guy coming in with like 0 masteries against this guy that has all these bonuses. So they have it sectioned where it's like only green armor or like this level. Like they've changed it because I think it's technically an early access. Maybe they just launched. I don't really know what's going on. I'm not following it super closely, but
Is it free?
it is free. It's free to play.
Hmm.
Um, the other part that they have is you have abilities, and again, it's you as you progress, you unlock more abilities. There's like a teleporting one that I actually really like. You can basically teleport, kind of like in. I think it's very similar to Blink and God, what is that game called? Dishonored. It kind of works. If for those of you who are familiar with that, it works very similar to that. And there's different ones like a dome shield, invisibility. It's kind of fun because you get into these situations where they're using their abilities, you're using their abilities, because you can go in solos or you can go a squad and match up with random teammates. And they did a very good job at adding VoIP. There's VoIP built into the game, like thankfully, because man, it's just sometimes like God, I really want to just talk with them. So I was surprised by that, and it's been pretty fun. I mean, I've not played it too much recently, but wouldn't mind trying again because they just swiped with the season. And yeah, I was playing Remnant 2 with some friends because they all had it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll buy it and we'll play and whatnot. But the other part that I want to mention was there's two gun slots, I guess. One's called kinetic and one's called energy. And essentially, the kinetic ones are like the PvP guns, or like they fire bullets. And then the energy ones, they fire like plasma bullets, I guess. I don't know. But the interesting part is the speed at which those plasma rounds travel is like super slow, Giga. Like, I can't stress how slow it is. Like, you have to lead, like, there's like this little like eye flying, cyborg thing that's just like floating, shooting little, stuff at me, and I have to lead so much ahead to like get it to hit where he's at. Like, I can't stress how slow it is. But the thing about the energy rounds is that the energy weapons is that they do more damage to the AI. So you have like your PvP gun, you have like your AI gun, but you can use the AI gun against players, but because it moves so slow, like it's not optimal, which is like I feel like it's very intentional because there's a lot of complaints around it, but I think it's very intentional because it kind of makes the AI more challenging, even though the AI is like already not challenging to begin with. They're just like kind of like intruder alert, and they'll just like run at you with an axe, and you're just like, oh, pew 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 pew. It's very pretty basic, but yeah, it's kind of nice if you like Dark and Darker. Like, if you love Dark and Darker, you should give this game a try, I would say.
Sounds kind of cool. Like the fact that you've got, I don't know, like Dark and Darker is interesting, but it's also its own very specific thing. Like Dark and Darker can be quite oppressive at times and not necessarily feel that dynamic, I think, in some circumstances. At least that was how it felt to me, as just not being very good. Like, I've seen some of the plays that people have done. It's just like, losing people in dark corners and like, charging up an attack and then like leaping out on people and stuff, which is nice. But like in this, it sounds, because it's shooting, it's like it's just a bit different. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, yeah, lighting is really important. I forgot to mention that. I mean, it's literally a Dark and Darker.
So its corners are completely black.
Yes, you got a flashlight. Turn the lights out. You can shoot lights. Yeah.
Classic. Yeah, it's interesting, the use of light in those kind of games. But like, to be in that kind of game where you've also got abilities as well, and these kind of perks. So how does it work then? So you can only buy like armor and stuff from the traders, but if you die, you lose your stuff.
Not your armor though.
You don't lose your armor.
Yeah, it can't be looted. It's like your permanent progression.
So what do you loot then? Like, what do you lose when you die?
And whatever's in their backpack. Because you loot valuables and ammo, consumables, crafting components, and you take that stuff back and you put it in your stash, and then you either craft stuff or you sell stuff and then buy stuff. It's kind of like you can loot weapons. I mean, you do loot weapons. I haven't seen any armor parts looted. I'm pretty sure it's not a thing. But yeah,
that's kind of interesting. It's like you try to bridge the gap between a normal RPG where you slowly gear up and do a build, and the extraction shooter genre, which is great, but suffers from the fact that because nothing is permanent, you can't really make builds unless you have a way to systematically create the same thing over and over and over again from the traders. Like, yeah, you lose it and it becomes a monetary thing rather than
Right.
building more dynamically. It almost reminds me a little bit of some of the roguelite type games. There's a one that I played called but yeah, if you keep it though, maybe it's not really the same. I was thinking about this thing called Dungeon. Oh, what the hell is it called? Dungeon Siege, Dungeon. It's some kind of like weird dungeon crawler roguelike thing that I played on my phone. Pixel Dungeon, that was the name of it. And I think I might have mentioned it like ages ago when we were talking about roguelikes and things like a long time ago. But that was sort of like you had to just kind of like build as you went along. You know, each run was its own run. Once you died, you died. If you finished the game, you finished the game and start again. It would almost be interesting to see a game able to do something like that through the course of some kind of extraction shooter. You'd kind of like, maybe you'd have your, I don't know, like I've been thinking about this for a bit. It's like have your power. I guess it's a little bit like a battle royale. I'm sort of like my brain's all over the place here on this, but it's like, okay. You start off low and then as you go through, you kind of like gain power. But like on a slightly more longer term scale than like each round is its own round, PUBG style, but more like dungeon crawlery. Like you start with nothing and you get this thing and you go, okay, well this has got this type of damage or this type of thing or that perk or whatever, and like, oh, well then maybe I need to combine it with this thing, because that's what's really fun about a lot of these like roguelite type of games, like Faster Than Light or Pixel Dungeon or like any of these kind of things, even stuff like Slay the Spire, because you're just like trying to deal with what happens as you go, and you're like trying to pick stuff that's going to complement your loadout, not knowing what you're going to get in the future, and you might have a build in mind, but then you just don't get the RNG for it, or something appears which is like quite rare. You're like, oh, now I can. That's insane. Maybe I can turn into this. That's what makes it really like super replayable a lot of the time with these things. So I'm not sure if that. I thought originally when you were talking about it that it sounded a little bit like that, but it seems with permanent armor, I guess that's like less so, because you can kind of just like settle on one armor and then just use that forever, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's like I feel like there is incentive to keep playing because you want to like keep rolling your armor to get the masteries, the right masteries in the right spots you want for your build that you're going for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like, great, I went from green to blue and like technically I'm stronger, like I got more HP and shields, but my mastery's all over the place because I just took whatever they randomly gave me. So now I have to spend time buying more armor to like keep rolling to get. It's like, oh, okay, great, I got the masteries I wanted, but this is a lower roll on the shields and HP.
Yeah,
but the I guess the eventually that can only go for so long, because once you get into like the legendary stuff, you're kind of just like done at that point, right? You know, but
you've kind of like got your build or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess you could have multiple sets depending on if you want to do different things. So you could buy multiple armors, I'm assuming, and hold them. You want to do, I want one with agility this time, I want one with medic or whatever for different things. Yeah, so there is that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. I feel like there's something there, and even what you were talking about, I could see something being there, because I do love that whole like process of, oh, it's like the game gave me this and this, I could like try to like work this into a build. It's like, you may have an idea of a build you're going for, and then the game decided differently, and now you just found this cool new thing that you never really thought of, but because it gave you these different mechanics and how they interact, it's like got some crazy build. Just fun.
Yeah, it'd be like, I don't know, you go into, say you've got like, I don't know, there's like, and this is just become total brainstorming, just like, armchair game dev for a second. Say like you go into
my
this
favorite game dev.
Into this space station, and you've got like each raid, you've got 5 sort of like energy slots that depend upon the spacecraft, right? So you can't put anything in them. But as you go around, like you can pick up different things, and they'll like augment you in a different way. But when you leave, like they're gone, because they depend on like the space station's the energy source or something. You tie it into the lore so that you can't take it away with you. But it's like stuff in raid. So you're incentivized to like go and find some things and create some build while you're in raid.
That's
you're
cool.
like, oh, I found this one this time. Maybe some of them are. But some of the stuff that I quite like in RPGs is things like better chance of finding XYZ thing, but you don't get a combat. You're like sacrificing that for, it's like magic find. Like Diablo 2 had this huge concept of magic find, and I don't know if that's still the same in the later ones. I think Diablo 3 had that too. Not sure about 4. Maybe I'm not sure. But it messed with your RNG on finding items of different values, right? But taking those stats usually means that you're sacrificing
Right.
like combat potential
Right.
in another way. So you'd kind of have like two sets of armor. You'd have like a magic find set. You go around with like 400% magic find to try and like find rare runes or whatever. Like you go and kill stuff that you're just about able to do, but you're not able to do like end game stuff with it on. And then you've got like your full on PvP,
Right.
Uber Chad gear, which is actually like max stats. Like stuff like that would be kind of cool. But yeah, if you found that like dynamically raid, that'd be kind of fun. But anyway. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, it sort of like blends the two together.
Yeah. That sounds really fun because I could totally see what you're describing. Like you're going in, you grab an energy cell, and this one's like now you open up other energy cells 50% faster. It's like, oh, okay, I got like a looting thing going. Then you
or
open
even
the
like
next
abilities or something.
Yeah. And you open
you
the next
got
one.
this ability that's only available in raid,
Yeah, and your next one's like, your loot you find is better, and it's like basically like this ratville going, and it's like, man, but you still like want to get out, right? So it's like but your combat effect has been lowered, and then it's interesting because even the other players, maybe they, instead of their strategy of like, or they got something different and they're more of a combat thing, so it's like, I don't know, it sounds really fun, honestly.
Yeah, kind of cool. Or even like the classic pick one of two, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, give me a negative perk also. I love the you get 2 positives and 1 negative. I love stuff like that. I feel like 1 positive, 1 negative is like, dude, you gotta balance those just right, because sometimes they're just like awful. It's like, oh great, I get 1 extra bullet, and every time I reload, I take 500 damage. Yeah, this is great. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, for sure. It sounds kind of cool. Like if I manage to finish my quest, I might give it a go because people have been asking me about it, and I've kind of wanted to look into it and play, but again, it's just like it just comes down to time. But it actually sounds sort of interesting. Like, do you think it's better than the cycle? Like, what do you think after playing 20 hours? Do you think it's more engaging?
Okay. Like, is it better than the cycle? Like purely as a game, not like as an extraction, whatever. 20 hours in, I don't know, dude. That's a tough one. I really can't say for certain. This is the thing, is I feel like you can get more out of it. Like there's more replay potential, but it's also kind of contradict like fake, because as you go up in the tiers, you also get locked out of playing in lower lobbies. Right. So it's like everyone's kind of in like the relative same bracket. Like there's a little bit of variance. Maybe one guy has just only 1 Exodia. Meanwhile, the other guy has all the Exodias. But you're all like Exodia players in the same lobby. But you go through that in each tier, so you're not like, it's like a false sense of progression. Like it's like handheld progression. Everyone's like progressing with more and more mechanics they're being exposed to. It's like, now I got these many masteries, and then next tier up, now I got more masteries. But you know what I mean? Where it's like in Tarkov, you could like do a hardcore count and go from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you are progressing. It's just, it feels a little like fake. I don't know how else to convey that best, but I will say I feel like there's a good incentive to keep playing, to keep re-rolling your armors to get the things you want to do, because there's some really cool interactions. Like they got it set up where, because you have abilities, you have perks, and you have masteries, and the masteries can interact with the abilities, and the perks can interact with abilities, so you can get like 2 charges on ability, cooldown reduction, things like
that's pretty
this.
cool.
Yeah, you can come up, like, I actually found a really fun build for party for squad play, where I teleport in, I use this blink ability, and then I try to like I basically cause chaos, and then as soon as I get like relatively low, like my shields go out, I then press my phase ability, which you can't shoot or interact, but you're invulnerable, and I run back to my teammates, and then they kind of go in and clean up the rest. So the idea is like there's like this stalemate where we're like, what is it called? We're both like trying to like deplete each other's resources, but neither of us is like committed. And then I sort of like go in, cause chaos, and then try to get a kill. If not, Hope it works out. It worked out once. It was kind of neat, you know. I didn't get to
That's pretty
do it a
cool.
whole lot. Yeah.
Did you prefer playing squad versus solo?
I don't really know. It's kind of a mixed bag because like the TTK is kind of on the higher side. I
Hmm.
feel like you know, and that even that's kind of like a caveat because if you use a sniper rifle, it like because it has headshot multipliers, it's higher than like the pistols or whatever. Like they'll all list the headshot multipliers, so you can get pretty you can do some significant damage. But anyways, since the TTK is kind of on the high side, like if you're gonna play squad, you definitely want to fill. You can have it where like it auto fills everyone. Like you could
Yeah.
just play duos in a squad, but I tried it with a friend. It really didn't feel that great. Because the other, you know, you could res your teammates like in Darker. You can res them. You take them to the med lab. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because like if you aren't playing squads and you lose a guy and you can't res them, then it feels really bad being 2v3. If you're alone, it feels really bad being 1v3. Like you have to go for the sneak. So I would probably lean a little bit more towards solo, I think.
Yeah, because it sounds like one of those things where that type of system is where you've got things interacting with other stuff, people's skills interacting with other people's skills. That's what makes a game like Dota 2 really good as a team game,
Yeah.
but also really frustrating as a game in general to play as not a professional player.
Yeah.
Because you're like relying on other people
To
and the
use
skill cap is
their
extremely high. Yeah,
right.
exactly. And to combo and stuff. But it's kind of tricky, especially if you're just like randomly queuing with people. It's just like
Yeah.
you didn't choose what skills you each had, right? So you're not necessarily synergizing with each other. Like you can't need an actual squad of friends to be doing that. Like, oh, I'm going to go this, I'm going to go that, you go this, and then actually complement each other, whatever. Feels like solo maybe it's a little bit more limited in just kind of like the scope, but it's more fair most of the time.
Yeah, that's a very good summarization. I think if you got a group of friends, play with a group of friends, you know, because you're gonna have a lot of fun interacting with each other's abilities. But if you're solo, it's like it's still fun, but like for example, that phase ability in solos is like garbage because they just follow you. Like who
And
cares if
then
you
kill you,
can't?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's complete garbage. So there's like certain things where it's like in solos it doesn't really work out that you know you don't get to use the full toolbox that they give you as
Yeah,
well.
it makes sense. It makes sense. Ah, dude, it sounds interesting though. Kind of, and I quite like. I don't know. I like the fact that there's all this stuff because the cycle. I think maybe that was what was a little bit boring to me about it. Was that in Tarkov, like, yeah, it's just shooting, but the loadouts are complicated. There's so many different things you can pick to take with you.
Mm-hmm.
So the cycle was a bit just like armor and a gun. Yeah, you could pick, but some were definitely better than others. Like it was fine, but it was just like, yeah, no abilities. Like the world itself wasn't necessarily that complex. Like, and that was sort of the things that maybe put me off and made me just think like, I'm not really engaged with
The
this. Whereas,
the gameplay is also a lot more simplified. Like Tarkov's, there's a lot more
yeah,
mechanics to interact with.
whereas this is like it's still simplified and it's inside and it's dark and dark
Mm-hmm.
alike. But because you got the abilities, maybe it makes up for it. There's a lot of relatively simple games out there that have abilities and makes them fun. Like, obviously, I don't really want to compare it to Valorant because that's kind of its own special thing. But like
Yeah, no, I get you though.
Apex,
Yeah,
Valorant, Overwatch, like those kind of games, which have been the new wave of like, oh, we're gonna mobify our FPSs, which is basically what it ended up
yeah,
being, right? It's kind of interesting because you've got different ways of interacting with stuff, and in this, it's like especially because you pick the skills, so you pick all the skills, you pick the perks, and then you like roll the math through. So you choose kind of everything, and you can't pick everything. Presumably, you have to like pick a subset of whatever.
no, you can't pick everything.
Like, how do you pick skills? Like, how does that function?
It's a linear progression. You get
And then
like
you just
two
choose like,
skills
okay,
as you progress. You get unlock more and more skills. Yeah,
okay, but you still have to kind of like pick from a range of available skill
yeah,
pool
you
to
have two
take certain
skills
ones
at
in.
max. Yeah, and
Oh, I
they're
see.
they're
I
just
see. I see.
shared. They're the shared pool of two skills you pick. Yeah,
Yeah, which is kind of, yeah, it's interesting. So you're like, yeah, it's that thing of like limited resources, but you're having to pick stuff, and then how that interacts with you. It's just like it just adds so much more on top of the game,
yeah,
because you're thinking about all this stuff when you go in, and it changes your play style too. Whereas like in the cycle, I kind of felt like whether I take a sniper or whether I take a pistol, or whether I take a rifle, and that's kind of it in terms of play style. I'm just going to
yeah.
go in
That's
and do the
fair.
thing. I don't know. Yeah, I just think it adds more elements of like stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I mean, like I said, if you got a group of friends, you could totally have one guy that's like the medic. You know, he's got all the medic perks, skills, and abilities that are good for medic. You could have one guy that's good for like taking out the AI, because you can. There's these rooms where you can like call in the elite guards, and they're like these big old robot dudes that melee you and dash at you. I don't know why, but that's what they do. And you could have all the perks that like are good for doing damage at them, and whatever. You could have a gun. Like there's a minigun. Actually, I gotta talk about the minigun. The minigun. There's an energy minigun where like you don't ADS. Like you ADS. There's no ADS, but you zoom in a bit. But the crosshair is really big, and it has to wind up and shoot. But it's got like a lot of ammo. But I found out with the teleporter, dude, what I could do is like teleport and get right up to them. Because remember, the bullets travel really slow, but because I'm right on top of it, doesn't matter, and it actually does pretty good damage. I've been having some fun with it. I need to give it a go again. I don't know why I've been kind of like, I don't know, not like super interested in it at the very moment. But
it's because you were playing this other game, I think, is what you said.
Yeah, I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah,
but
well, it sounds interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted. I don't know.
I was gonna say, look it up on YouTube. I think Aqua's done a couple of videos. Have you seen his videos on it?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen anything of it. It's just people keep talking to me about it, and I'm like, oh man, I need to look into it. And like, I looked at it one time, and I think it was before I had my new hard drive, and I was just like, oh god, I can't like fit it on my disk, and like, it's just like all of that. I was like, man, but like now I've got like loads of space. I should have a look into it again. It should be kind of cool because some of the things about Darker, because it was basically all melee. I know there's mage and rogue, but a lot of the game is melee, and like a lot of the mobs are melee. It kind of feels a bit more. I don't know. It's just a different style.
It's different for sure. Absolutely,
very different style than a shooting game. But a corridor shooter is kind of interesting in some respects. So yeah, maybe worth a little shot or something if I somehow find the time.
Yeah, if you find time. I understand if you don't. You could always.
I've got all of this rubbish to do. Nikita's got me by the balls.
Cool. All right. Well, I think it's about that time we wrap it up. Unless you got anything else.
No.
Any final words.
No, let's. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I had a really funny fight on streets with a 2-man. I was trying to kill these stupid scavs, and I was. I don't know if you can picture it, but the back of Check 15 building, there's like that back entrance. If you were facing that from the outside, it's like on the other side of the building would be Sparger and Concordia, and but you're facing Check 15 from the back. On the left, right in the corner, there's 2 doors, which I only recently discovered. Because this is the thing about streets, like I'm still discovering stuff because I don't play it all the time, and I stopped playing it for a while because of performance problems. But there's like random rooms and things that connect through, and you're just like, oh, that's where that goes. Like it's fast. The streets is actually really cool for like learning the map. It's just like a fun experience. Anyway, there's 2 doors. One connects you to the main street, which I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. The other one connects you to like a bunch of higher up apartments. There's not that much in them, but you can see a bit out into that courtyard. Anyway, I was over on that side again. Like 2 guys come out of Check 15 and see me, and I'm like, oh, let me just go into this room here. And I was like, oh man, I'm like actually kind of stuck in here. They wander over, and they're just kind of outside. I take a few shots. They like run at me. I can see through the one window, and one guy's at the door. We basically just like go back and forth. Like I'm shooting. I try to like med and immediately cancel to try and bait them in, but they're not coming. I end up killing the one guy in the doorway. The guy like I baited twice, and he wasn't coming, so I was just like, I'ma just heal then. So I just like healed, and then we had this like little sort of peek fight. They tried to throw a grenade, and then I finally managed to kill the guy. So like killed his duo, which is really cool. Finished looting them and everything. I'm just like, oh, what's over here at the back? Like literally where my like back was pressed in the corner. I was just like, open the door. That was the door out to the main street. I was just like, oh no, there was a way out the whole time. Like, I was like, I spent this whole fight like pinned in this corner, and there's a door literally with an escape route just there behind me. Which is kind of fun. But like that was pretty intense actually, and kind of cool. That was like one of the fun moments I've had. I had another really cool fight in Nexus against the duo, but I unfortunately lost. I think they were just like camping the whole area to try and finish this quest or something. And one guy was like in the drug den bit, and I was like shooting his legs, and then some other dude turned up, and then they both just like cornered me and killed me. But no, I've been having some fun fights. I think like Streets is really interesting to fight outside of the main bits. Like I'm not really a big like set piece fighting kind of guy. I don't. People like know those areas so well. They like just go to Check 15 and just sit in there the whole raid and just like want to fight people in Check 15. I much prefer these kind of like random ones where it's like, you know, you're learning the map and there's like a random entrance, or you're forced into areas you don't normally go into, and learning the routes like through the building and stuff. There's like a whole bunch of routes that I've learned recently where you don't have to go around the main street, you don't have to go past post office, you don't have to go through this bit or that bit, and it's like it's slowly getting there with it, which is pretty neat. But yeah, that fight in particular was kind of cool. I was like not sure what I should do with it. I was like, maybe I should turn it into, because I'm like, we actually talked a bit offline. I'm like considering dabbling in some short form stuff again, and I was like, oh, that would actually make a perfect, because it's not like it's not really something that I want to just like make a video about and showcase
Right.
as a long video. I don't really think like I could, maybe there's a couple of situations that I could put together and say, you know, breakdown of a fight or whatever, but I just don't really feel like making that type of content. But I'm like, for short form, I think it would work quite nicely. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, and it was also off stream too, so I was just like on my own, just sweating, you know, concentrating properly. I had like the final one. I just had a really frustrating one. We tried to play Streets once just before finishing up, but I noticed some drop frames on OBS over in the corner. Literally, like I went back and looked at the VOD, and the moment I looked over, a dude runs out of his spawn over by Pinewood Hotel. And I'm just like looking at the frame counter thing, and I look back up, and he's like just going behind this truck, and he just like turns around and goes grrk, and just 551s me in the head. And I was like, God damn it, guys! Like I wasn't paying attention because I thought the stream was playing at like, you know, as much as the streamer privilege and streamer loot, there are downsides as well. You know, you're not always paying attention, you definitely get caught out. But yeah, that's it from me. I'm just going to spend the rest of my life grinding this quest, apparently.
Well, how about rest of your life? Maybe the next 7 days, 5 days, 6
Dude, I'm going to be
days.
so annoyed if I don't manage to finish it. I'm going to be so annoyed.
You'll get there.
Genuinely. I'm going to be so annoyed. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Someone pass the copian supply to Giga. He needs a hub.
Someone give me a green card. That's what I need. Cool.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you all next week. Take it easy.
Bye.